Atlanta, Georgia, home to the SEC title game, and for these Georgia Bulldogs, it'll feel like home as they face Texas for another championship. Of all the P4 conference title games, this is the only one with a matchup between two teams that have faced each other this century. And what a matchup it is set to be as the Bulldogs and Longhorns meet for a second time this season. Georgia handed Texas their only loss of the season back in Week 8, but it was an ugly game for Bulldogs quarterback Carson Beck, who didn't throw a touchdown, but did throw 3 interceptions. And it has been a roller coaster season for Beck in Athens this year. He's had 2 games with 5 or more touchdowns this season. Like last week against Georgia Tech in the overtime thriller, he's the first player in program history to do that, but he's also had stinkers 3 games this season with at least 3 interceptions. All right, so let's discuss what we could possibly expect from Beck and from Georgia with our John Talty, who joins us now. John, you saw the stats there, the roller coaster that Carson Beck has been this season. Against Texas, he did have his struggles in that first game, despite the fact that they got the win. What do they need from him today in order to get to a Texas team that obviously knows how to get to him?
Yeah, in the simplest way, they need the good Carson Beck to show up. You know, I think there was really a turning point after a loss to Ole Miss in which he was harassed, banged up, was not able to do much in that loss. Since then, you know, he's played really well. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. We're really getting a version of him that's been effective. But it's going to be a real challenge in this game. Texas defense has been terrific. We saw that against Texas A&M, but really throughout the whole season, this is a defense that has played really well and had, you know, forced 3 interceptions of Beck's in the first game. So that's going to be a challenge. Trevor Etienne, you know, has been trying to get him back. He's missed the last 3 games. He's played well without Etienne, but I think they're going to need a good version of Beck with the running game not as effective as it's been in the past. So, you know, Beck has to make smart decisions. He's got to, you know, make the right move when he gets pressured. We've seen him make mistakes in the past. So how he handles that Texas pressure, I think, is going to be crucial in a game that's, you know, really important for Georgia. On the other side of this, for Texas, Quinn Ewers has dealt with injuries this season, but has remained consistently solid. In their first meeting, he did throw 2 touchdowns, had an interception. After that game, Steve Sarkisian said, look, I hope that we get another shot at Georgia, and here it is. Do you think that there's a chance that maybe Sark game plans a little Arch Manning into the offense here? I do. We saw a little bit of it against Texas A&M. Arch had the first touchdown of that game, and Sark kind of said afterwards, you know, some things you got to hold back, and that was a moment where they deployed it. I think, you know, using Arch's legs and an Arch-type package makes a lot of sense in a game like this. There's been some murmurs here in Atlanta about Quinn being maybe a little bit more banged up than people know. We know that star left tackle Kelvin Banks is a game-time decision. He was listed as questionable earlier in the week. So there's some things that add up that maybe you might need some moments where you need a guy who's a little bit more athletic, a little bit faster, a little bit more willing to do things with his legs in a key spot. So I do think we're going to see some Arch in this game. Of course, you probably don't want to do everything that you have with him planned. They've still got a long season potentially to go. We know they're going to be in the playoff, potentially having a bye. You know, there's some things that if you're Sark, you're thinking ahead potentially. I don't want to burn it all in this SEC championship game, but it is an important game for them to get that bye. And so I do think we'll see some signs of Arch Manning in this game.
It's a great matchup between the 2 head coaches, Smart versus Sark. Okay, we had National Signing Day this past Tuesday, the opening of the signing window, and it was a big day for Oregon. They flipped Ohio State 5-star Naheem Offord. You had a chance to talk to Offord about what that flip entailed. Give us that part of that conversation as why he decided to make that choice.
Yeah, you know, he had a commitment video at the end of his ceremony, which was, you know, a couple hours long. And he had, you know, Dan Lanning and other people talking about, you know, what he's going to mean to Oregon. And in the middle of the commitment video, Phil Knight popped up, the Nike co-founder, Oregon super booster. And I asked Naeem after his ceremony about it, and he said that Phil Knight played a huge role in his decision. He said he's already waiting on me to get up there. He's got some things planned for me. He's going to help me get my own shoe. And that's just part of the superpower and super benefit that a school like Oregon has with a guy like Phil Knight, who's not only incredibly wealthy. I think Forbes put his net worth in the $45 billion range, but also just, you know, the Nike factor and how involved that he's been in that program. And, you know, multiple people, agents, even Mike Loxley told me that, like, Phil Knight, he's investing a ton of money in cancer research, millions and billions of dollars. And he's investing a lot of money in trying to see a national championship. And so we'll see it on the field this Saturday with Dylan Gabriel and Evan Stewart and some of these other super transfers that Oregon's brought in. But it's also really paving the path for the recruiting efforts in the future. And this is, the current world that we live in, where a billionaire fan can have a major impact on the field and his favorite team's success.
He is 24/7 Sports reporter John Talty discussing the SEC title game and more here on your college football pregame show.